You're listening to the Money Monopolizers podcast, helping you take control of your financial destiny. It's about time that we invest more in our financial literacy and work towards building generational wealth. If you think you're ready to do the same, then you've come to the right place. Alex, Marlon, y'all ready? Let's get this bread.
What's good, everybody? It's Alex Kamunya here, and we are back with episode 26 of the Money Monopolizers podcast. And I'm here with my co-host, Marlon Walls. Marlon, how you doing today, bro?
Hey, bro, I'm doing pretty good, man. I'm glad to be out for the winter break from school. I'm glad just enjoying myself at home. So if anybody's watching this on YouTube, y'all can tell we have a little bit different scenery right now. We're both in Houston currently, and we're just really enjoying the holidays. So Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's to everybody. Happy holidays, whatever y'all celebrate. And I'm really excited for this episode, especially because we're going to be talking to our peers primarily, especially people who are recent graduates or soon to be graduates. I think there's a lot of good stuff for y'all in here to take from, especially considering the fact that there's a lot of different perspectives out in society about, like, as you graduate, people want to live their best life. They wonder if should they invest or what to invest in, and then especially like investing while in debt. I think we're going to tackle a lot of that today, and I think a lot of our listeners will be able to take away from that. And we're going to just try to give our perspective and keep it objective. So we just spitting out facts here. How you doing, man?
I think I'm good. We in Houston, just chilling to close out this year for the holidays. So it's always good. We got a chance to check out the rental property while we're out here. That's going well. Appraisal came back higher than we wanted, so that's always good. That's hopefully we're going to get that rented out, start of the new year, and I'm closing on another rental property in San Antonio, January 10th. So, that's going to be another good thing. Got some other ventures to start out the new year that I'm super excited about. But, we got a lot going on right now, and especially to start the new year and really for the whole of 2020. We're definitely trying to. 2020. Yeah, facts. And, there's so much that we're trying to do in 2020. I really, really think 2020 is going to be legendary for so many reasons. And I'm super excited, super excited for it. Especially with, the podcast and all this, we have been putting out so much. We put out, a lot of content this year, and we definitely have felt like we've learned a lot along the way since we started this, and how to, put out better content and how to engage more with our audience and how to reach more people. So that we're definitely going to reap the fruits of that in 2020, and definitely get a lot of good content out to y'all too, especially in 2020. We got a good slate of guests to start out the year. We got an interview this weekend that we're going to use to close out this year, and then a good slate of guests for 2020. So y'all be on the lookout for that. Keep supporting. We appreciate everybody that's still sticking with us, still rocking with us since we started this back in May. We ain't got no intention of stopping. So, we just going to keep it going. But other than that, let's get into this episode. Like Marlon said, this episode is going to be targeted to those that are, really people that are our age mates, and also people that are in similar situations as us, just in life in general. You don't even have to be our age, but this episode is like more geared towards millennials, right? Those in their 20s and 30s, and those that are, especially that just graduated school, that are getting ready to graduate school, those that are working their full-time jobs now, and, they have some expendable capital. We're definitely going to be dropping bombs for y'all this episode. So y'all definitely stay on the lookout for that. So the first thing we really want to get into is, talking about, we talk about it all the time. We touch on it all the time. But, when you're talking about investing in general, the first thing is always investing in yourself, right? An investment in yourself, that's the greatest investment you can make. There's no ROI. There's no investment you can make with a greater ROI than an investment in yourself. The first thing I kind of want to touch on is the E to E, right? E to E ratio. So I had mentioned this, I think last episode, I had talked about E to E ratio a little bit, education and entertainment, and how that kind of looks. E to E ratio, that's just you can look at it in dollars or in in minutes or time, right? The amount of time or dollars you're spending towards education compared to entertainment. So I had mentioned the statistic last episode, but I think it was the average American's E to E ratio is 50-1, meaning for every $50 spent in entertainment, spending $1 in education, right? And you can even look at it in terms of, in terms of minutes. It's similar. The value is similar. So you have to ask yourself, what are your dollars and your time going to? And you have to really evaluate and do a self-analysis on that, right? And, a lot of people, it's just not. It's a lot easier to spend money and time on education than it is on entertainment than it is education. And that's just something that, if you want to achieve certain things in life, that's something that you're gonna have to change. Books, courses, and seminars, those are the things that you really want to be focusing on in terms of E to E. And those are the things that are really going to help you grow and develop. And it's not to say you can't learn from social media or YouTube or any of those other things. There's a bunch of different mediums to actually learn on, but it just for that same purpose, these mediums can be used to waste time on. So you have to actually analyze how you're using these kind of things, right? Because the thing about it is, once you stop learning, you stop growing completely. There's a misconception in life that education culminates with your formal education, which just isn't true. You have to literally, if you want to be successful at anything, you have to be a student for life. I read a statistic that said that 67% of people never read a book again after graduating from college. 67%. Never read one book. That's crazy. I really didn't want to believe it, but they did a study on it, and that's what they found. But I can't even imagine that, because I'm such a big adversary to stagnation and just not doing anything after school and just being completely stagnant for the rest of your life. I couldn't imagine. Learning has to always be a part of your life, right? It's better to know how to learn than to know in general, right? Because for me, I know personally, because I don't just speak this and say do this. I actually practice what I'm preaching, right? This year, and just in the past couple months, I spent $2,600 on self-development in the past couple months. And in the first quarter of 2020, I got already $1,500 slated out for courses and books that I'm going to be purchasing. So, because I look at it like this, right? If the market crashes, or your business fails, or anything happens that's really out of your control, you will always get a great ROI on investing in yourself. That is something nobody can ever take from you. The education and the time spent on investing in yourself is something that can never be taken from you. So you had to put emphasis and value on that, right? Because if you seriously think about it, most wealthy people, not rich people, most wealthy people, they can lose all their money and pretty much gain it back relatively quickly, right? Because they have already developed the skills and the expertise to make money, not just to get money, right? Because making money is a skill, just like anything else. So once you develop that expertise, people can take anything they want from you, but they can never take that skill away from you. And that's what comes from the education and all of that kind of thing. Because we're in a unprecedented time right now where you can literally, we talk about this all the time, you can literally learn anything you want at any moment, at any time. At the palm of at the tip of your fingers, you have literally the answer to anything you want to know. And you got to seriously ask yourself and evaluate how you're using those resources. Are you investing that time, or are you wasting that time, right? Because believe it or not, there is a principle that is known as the compound effect, right? Every little thing that you're doing, every little, no matter what it is, good or bad, it's compounding into your future ultimately, right? So you have to ask yourself, really you have to look at it like this, right? Everything that you do, you're either getting 1% better or you're getting 1% worse, or whatever percent, right? It's exponential growth versus exponential decay. We had just posted the graphic about it yesterday, where we showed literally mathematically, you can prove that you get with 1% better every day. Put it in the equation. You can go see the equation we put. 1% better every day
A year.
after 1 year, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
365 days, because the equation is 365 based off 365 days. You will literally see that you have gotten 3,600% better
Mm-hmm.
from where you were if you just got better 1% every day. And that, better is relative to whatever you want to apply it to. We're not just talking about investing or business or whatever. It's whatever you want to apply it to. And it's the same thing conversely if you're getting worse. Well, the value isn't the same, but the same principle applies. It compounds to where you're getting significantly worse if you're getting 1% worse every day. Small little things have a drastic effect on the big picture at the end of the day, right? In the beginning, there's not much of a difference between 1% better or 1% worse. But, after that amount of time, like I said, it's going to be 3,600% better than where you were a year ago if you got 1% better. While if you got 1% worse, you'll get 97% worse.
Mm-hmm.
97% worse than where you were. That's just based off the equation. And like I said, it applies to everything. So you can, it doesn't have to be just business or investing. You can apply it to, education too. Are you learning every day, or are you becoming more ignorant every day? Are you nutrition? Are you eating well every day, or are you eating, trash every day? Are you eating bad every day, unhealthy stuff? Exercise, are you, making the gym, or are you skipping the gym? Relationships too. Are you making efforts to add value, or are you just, lacking? Are you not paying much attention to them? No matter what it is, you have to focus on getting 1% better every day. Right. And it's not even like you have to find out like what is the new big thing that's out there that's going to make me get 1% better. It's just focusing on the stuff that already works.
And I think that's nothing but being intentional, honestly. Like whatever you are focused on, just make sure that you are trying to get better at that every day. Alex gave a whole bunch of examples, but I reminded me of the post that you posted a while back, because it was one of the posts on the Money Monopolizers page about the wasting time versus how to use, like using time wisely. I forgot the exact title of it. But in the wasting time, they had things such as watching Netflix and also playing video games. And we got a few people that were like backlashing on us for that. Like, oh, I agree with everything but the wasting time for Netflix and video games. Like, that's not wasting time. Well, so a lot of people's arguments is that it's not wasting time because it's allowing them to unwind and allow them to like relax from their long stressful day, or just be like having overload from work, like work overload. So if I was doing too much at one time, I need to watch Netflix just to chill and like just to take a step back and relax. I agree with that. But I don't agree if you are doing this on a daily basis and saying, okay, 6 p.m. is Netflix time, 6 to 10, that's Netflix, Monday through Sunday. Matter of fact, Saturday and Sunday is probably just all day binge watching. If you're binge watching Netflix or binge video games while you're in your early 20s and you haven't have a business or something like investing or doing something that's going to sustain you for a long haul, if you haven't got that established, it's considered wasting time. That's what we're trying to get to you. It's about the mindset that you have when you're first approaching like real life. Like we're talking to millennials. So once you're first getting out of college, you need to really be focusing on doing something that's going to allow you to be able to enjoy these luxuries, I guess, in a better sense. So if you're doing all this stuff right now, you're not going to be able to enjoy it to your fullest capability later on. Like enjoy your life to your fullest capabilities later. But it's all about being intentional, trying to get that 1% better, and watching what are you doing, what are you spending your time on. If you're spending your time watching Netflix every day, you're getting 1% worse, and that's just facts, bro. I can't really sugarcoat that.
And look, it's not to say like we out here just saying like we don't ever do that either, or like we're not just trying to be hypocrites or say like you should never watch TV or you should never play video games or you should never do that. It's not about that, but it's about the habit and the pattern, right?
Exactly.
How does it look? What are you consistently doing, right? It's nothing wrong with doing it every once in a while.
I agree.
Obviously, you're not supposed to, grind, burn out, and it's obviously you got to, take some time off. But we're not saying that, right? You have to, bro. I'm gonna be real. And this might hurt some feelings, but if you are watching, Netflix for, you getting off of work at 5 and you watching Netflix till, 12 a.m., 10 p.m., or whatever the case all night, you ain't about nothing. You're not about nothing. And it might hurt some feelings, but I'm being real. You're not about nothing. What are you trying to accomplish? What is that going to help you accomplish? Like, honestly.
My sanity.
And it's
No.
I'm not trying to like antagonize or, attack anyone. I'm just being honest with you. You're not getting nowhere with that. I promise. So you got to watch how much time you're spending on these things, right? Because at the end of the day, seriously, at the end of the day, all success is the bottom line. Success is just a statistical event. Literally, it is a mathematical statistical event. If you show up every day in and day out, and you do what you need to do, and you do exactly what you know you're supposed to be doing, right? There's no cognitive dissonance there. You know exactly what you're supposed to be doing, and you're doing that. You are going to become successful. Seriously, and I can relate it well to like pro sports, right? Because I'm a big Kobe Bryant fan. Kobe is like, his work ethic. If you know anything about Kobe Bryant, his work ethic is the most ridiculous I've ever seen, right? And one of the things that he says all the time is literally he does is show up. It's just showing up and putting in work. Because over time, while other people are not putting in that same amount of work and you're putting in that work, what's going to happen? Like I just mentioned, it's going to compound. Mm-hmm. They compound on each other. It's not linear. It's exponential growth. It compounds. You get better this day. You get a little bit better this day. You get a little bit, and you're building off of something every day. So after a while, you're going to look back and you'll see how much better you are or how much further along you are than a lot of people. Seriously. And you can look at the same in business, right? If you and I'm not advocating to do this because I don't do this, but if you putting in 80 hours a week on your, like, let's say you got a full-time job, 40 hours, and you coming home and you putting in another 40 hours in a week on your business, while that same person that's trying to achieve the same thing is putting in, 40 hours a week at work, and then they coming home and putting in, an hour a day on their business. I can guarantee you after 1 year, that person that was putting in 80 hours is going to be a lot further along. And look, I'm going to say this because there was that post that came out a little while back that they was attacking an old girl because she said she was working 60, 80 hours a week on her business while she was in her 20s, or she was working 60, 80 hours a week in general. I'm not telling nobody to go work 80 hours for somebody else. I would never, ever tell you to go work 80 hours for somebody else. You need to take 20 of those or 40 of those hours and put them towards your business, right? Mind your own business, not nobody else's, right? So that's all it is at the end of the day. Half of the battle is just showing up every day to learn new things, showing up every day to eat healthy, showing up every day to workouts, showing up every day to whatever it is you're trying to improve at. It's just showing up every day. That's half the battle. There was a quote by Teddy Roosevelt, and he said, I think he said, in any moment of decision, the best thing you can do is the right thing. The next best thing you can do is the wrong thing. And the worst thing you can do is nothing. Mm-hmm. So, take that for what you think it is. But at the end of the day, just show up.
That's nothing but taking action, honestly, bro. So you got me thinking about that Kobe example. So take Kobe. He played 20 years in the league. We gave an example of 1 year that if you're getting 1% better every day, you eventually increase by 3,600% by the end of that year. That compounds even more as you increase the number of years. Like if we put that over the 20-year span that Kobe played, this is why he was considered one of the greatest now, because he kept on getting that 1% better every day, consistently throughout the course of his entire NBA career.
And that's the good thing about like being at this age. You can take advantage of compound interest and the fact that, you have the whole lifespan to compound your success and your efforts every day, right? So you have a lot higher chance of becoming successful the earlier you start. And the earlier you start, that mentality of, working, right? So seriously consider that and look at what you're doing every day and see if it aligns with what you want to achieve in life. But yeah, that's kind of what we wanted to talk about with investing in yourself, in terms of investing in yourself. Now, the next thing we kind of want to touch on is something that's really big with millennials, especially when they graduate school, is paying down debt or investing, and whether you should be which one you should be doing, right? Um, in reality, like if I'm being completely honest, every situation is different. So I can't, there's no monolithic advice I can give to say that you should be doing this or you should be doing that. And when it comes to investing or paying down debt, it really depends on your situation. It depends on a bunch of things. It depends on, the type of debt you have, interest rate on the debt, your spending habits, right? How likely are you to actually gain more debt? Um, and even, when I say investing too, I'm not necessarily saying going and buy real estate or investing in stocks or going start a business. I'm saying anything like a 401k, that's considered investing too. You have to ask yourself, when you graduate, should I be contributing to my 401k or should I be paying down my student loan debt? That's a question that you have to ask yourself, right? And like I said, at the end of the day, every situation is different. But I think there's a few questions you have to ask yourself first pick to kind of decide what it is for you, right? The first thing you should ask yourself, and this is before you do anything, is what are your goals? What do you want to achieve? Because if you're like me and your goal is early financial freedom, then I'm going to recommend that you pay down that debt as fast as possible, because that debt is going to inhibit you from having access to capital that you will need to invest, right? But conversely, if you are okay with retiring at age 65, then slowly paying down debt is, going to be probably a little more advantageous while you invest more in your 401k or your Roth or whatever. That's probably more applicable for you. So that's one question you should ask yourself before actually kind of making that decision. I think it really depends on what your goals are, because it's not, if I told you to to do this and your goal was to, do this thing, then that's not good advice that I'm giving.
And this coming from somebody who has written down goals since 2010, I want you to, everybody, when you are making goals for yourself, you need to really sit down and evaluate your short, mid, and long-term goals that you have, because there's stages it's like stepping stones almost that you can go through. So short-term goals may be monthly, may be daily, could be yearly. But you should have a list of short-term goals, mid-term, and long-term. Write them down, be descriptive, and make it plain. Like you can write them down and plaster them on a wall. I know I talked about a vision board a few times. This can either be a vision board where it's either a dialogue, or I guess it's text, or it can be pictures. Write down your goals and just like make sure you can always see them. And don't settle for what's easily obtainable. That can be your short-term goals, like something that you think you can get within like a year or within a couple months. But especially with these long-term goals, these need to be like big goals that you have for yourself. Like what do you truly want to do in your lifetime? Like before the day you die, what are your goals and aspirations? You need to sit down and think about those, because without that vision, you're not going to really be going for anything. It's like if you are traveling somewhere and you have no plan on where you're going to get, it's going to probably, I mean, if you have no destination, no plan in mind, you're going to just end up anywhere. And if you're taking on a journey without a plan in mind, you're pretty much going nowhere. And you just don't care where you're going to end up at. And you probably won't hit where you actually intend on hitting it in the first place. And I heard a quote one time. It was saying, the problem isn't that you set goals too big and miss them. The problem is that you set them too small and achieve them. And what that's doing is giving you a false sense of security. That's basically saying, oh, I've attained the goals that I've set for myself. And that's not saying that you shouldn't set the small goals. That's what the short-term goals are for. But without a goal in mind, you're going to just become complacent and then just begin to stagnate. This is why people don't read after they have graduated college or graduated high school, or whatever, because they say, hey, I've hit the pinnacle of what I wanted to do in life. I got this job. Now I'm done with as far as getting better. And so that's why I always say set short, medium, and long-term goals. So always have something that you're reaching for to continue to progress, get that 1% better. And understand also the size of your goals will be dictated by your ambition level. So your tolerance level for taking risk as well. Because like Alex and I, if you plan on retiring early, it's going to require bigger goals. And those are going to have to be your short and mid-term goals as opposed to your long-term goals. Because in order to retire early, it takes a drastic change or drastic difference in comparison to what somebody else is doing who's trying to retire at age 65.
Yeah, that's true. I think another question that you should, ask yourself in order to answer the question of whether you should pay debt or invest is, how old are you? Well, not asking yourself, but it's to analyze how old you are and what kind of situation you're in, right? And then also that's based off your goals too. But I think personally, if you're a millennial, or I guess if you're a younger millennial, you should definitely really be focused on doing both. And when I say that, I mean any extra money that you're getting should be going towards paying down debt and investing. Because like I said, when the earlier you start doing anything, the more you're going to reap out of it. The more advantageous it will be because you can take advantage of the compound effect, whether it's investing or whether that's whatever it is. It's compound interest, compound, habits, all of that compounds to something greater. So the younger you start, the more you'll see out of that. So, in order to be putting any extra money that you are getting to investing or paying down debt, or paying down debt, you have to really be on a strict budget for yourself because, whenever you're trying to invest or pay down debt and you're not budgeting, it's very unlikely that you're going to successfully do that because any extra money you're getting, especially if it's like minimal amounts, like let's say you get $100, at the end of the month, you find out you have $100 extra, you're going to subconsciously tell yourself, I mean, it won't hurt if I just go buy these shoes or if I just go do this with this extra money instead of saving it to invest because it's such a minuscule amount. But or minuscule to you in your mind, but had you put that aside already in a budget, you would already, you're pretty much telling when you set a budget, you're pretty much already allocating where your money's going to go to before you even have it. And that's like the best way to make yourself stick to something or keep yourself accountable when it comes to paying down debt and also saving to invest. You have to put yourself on a budget and allocate how much you want to go towards that based off of what your other expenses look like, right? So, like I said, if you're younger, that's kind of how you should be approaching it. The younger you are, the more time you have to take advantage of it. And that's why I say you should be doing both, right? You have to focus on paying down that debt, but you also have to put emphasis on investing. So, and this is coming from the perspective of people that are trying to, achieve financial freedom, by age 28 for me personally. So it's probably not the thing that everybody wants to hear, especially if you want to like live comfortably when you're young. But, if that's something that you want to achieve, that's kind of the mindset that you have to look at it as. You have to really just delay gratification. That's what it really is.
Mm-hmm. And I do want to highlight, it goes back to being intentional, everything that you're saying, like creating a strict budget for yourself. And I think it also just understanding that it doesn't matter what your age is, you can always obtain more. You can always invest in, you can do anything that anybody else is doing in this world, especially with technology that we have today, that we have endless capabilities of gaining educational knowledge and just being able to do what other people have been doing for centuries now. But I do want to talk about subtleties in society that like are trying to make it seem like investing is unobtainable for millennials or anybody who's like of our age. Like you actually mentioned this to me a while back about Monopoly, the game. So Monopoly is traditionally like a real estate type board game where you're buying houses and you're buying hotels and putting them on land, and then you're collecting payments from people who are on your land. That's just a simple board game. But they actually made a Monopoly for Millennials game where the caption says, "Forget real estate, you can't afford it anyway." And they're talking to millennials and basically trying to condition their minds to say, "Hey, real estate isn't even for you. Don't even worry about looking at it. Like real estate, that's for the big dogs. That's for the rich. That's for like the wealthy people. They're already well off. You can't even afford it." So they're trying to condition you to not even think of real estate, think you can even invest in real estate. So you got to really be paying attention to like these things in society that's trying to tell you that you can't do it, because it's very possible. We're doing it. It's something that's very obtainable if you are researching it, if you're educating yourself, and then actually going out and executing it.
Yeah, facts. Y'all have to really understand that in order to do things that other people aren't going to be able to do, you have to think differently from those kind of people, right? Because that's why and we're going to kind of get into it, but that's why I'm a big, adversary to traditional retirement accounts, Because for me, if I want to retire in 5 years, I can't be putting my money in the places that most people are putting them in. So you have to get away from that societal norm and that societal conditioning that takes place in all that groupthink out there. You have to seriously like stray away from it, because it's going to really affect you, and it's going to really affect your future. So you can't listen to none of that stuff. Don't listen to none of that stuff. So it's a good point. I think a couple other questions that you should ask yourself, really, to answer the question about paying down debt or investing is, do you know what you're doing? Like, as obvious as it may sound, do you know what you're doing? Do you know how to invest? Do you have financial literacy when it comes to investing, right? Because, at the end of the day, if you don't know how to invest and you don't really have any interest in learning, pay down the debt. Pay down the debt because you're not doing yourself any justice. Investing is not nothing you just hop into it because you saw a video on YouTube, or you bought a $10 ebook off of Instagram, and you saw somebody made $100,000 in the stock market, or $100,000 wholesaling real estate. No, it don't go like that. It's you have to literally put the time in to learn how to do this, and if you don't have that interest in doing that, it's not for you. I'm gonna just be real. It's not for you. Seriously. So you had to. That's part of it sounds obvious, but that's something you got to ask yourself. Another question is, do you actually have enough money to invest, right? How much are you willing to invest? And before actually investing, you have to evaluate your situation too. Do you have enough money in savings for an emergency? Do you have your emergency fund? Can you live, let's say you lost your job, can you live for 3 months without any income? You have enough saved up to live for 3 months without any income, right? Because at the end of the day, like I said, 401k is investing earlier, right? And if you had money in your 401k and you need to pull it out for any reason, then that's disadvantageous, because it's going to cost you more than if you had just saved it. Because when you pull out money out of a 401k before age 59 and a half, you're going to pay the taxes on it, and you're going to pay the early withdrawal penalty. So, that's not really advantageous. So before even trying to invest in your 401k, you need to make sure you got your emergency fund. So
yeah, I definitely suggest not just hopping straight in, but there are people who do have a higher risk tolerance than others. I think that's gonna be good for like a last question, as far as trying to invest or paying down debt first, is what is your risk tolerance? Because understand that doing both at the same time, investing and paying down debt, is going to create a very like a extreme shortage in capital that you have, because you're spending a lot of money at one time trying to do both at the same time. So even though it's more risky to do, it's more risky like to invest while you're paying down debt. I'm not gonna really say it's risky. It can be mitigated though. Like it can be mitigated as long as you are educating yourself and accounting for these things, like not really variable expenses, but if you're accounting for your emergency fund, like being able to live off of 3 months of expenses, things like that are going to allow you to mitigate the risk that will be involved. And another way to mitigate it is through education. Like if you're educating yourself on how to invest correctly, you can make sure that you're not losing money during the process. You're actually gaining money that's going to be able to help you pay down your debt. And I do want to say that when you're educating yourself, you need to be able to choose your mentors wisely. I think we talked about this before. I know we talked about it at the conference that we spoke at, but I want to re-emphasize it. So when you're choosing a mentor, understand that every mentor has a target audience. So they're going to be educating you based off of what they feel is good for their target audience. So like comparing Dave Ramsey to Robert Kiyosaki. Dave Ramsey, he is a big proponent of paying down your debt. So if he's being asked this question, should you pay down debt or invest first? He's going to say, pay down every last dime of debt. Don't touch investing until after you're done paying down your debt. And wow, it may be good advice for some people. That's also the pinnacle of where his education is. So like once you have paid down your debt, he has this thing called the debt-free scream, where you basically say we're debt free. You scream it like to the heavens, like you're just proud to say I'm debt free. But that's like the top of the pyramid. So you start off in extreme debt, you paid it down, and now you're debt free. But your education piece ends there. Like he doesn't teach you how to invest afterwards. Whereas Robert Kiyosaki, he would tell you you should be investing as much as possible early on if you could, because his ultimate goal is financial freedom. So in order to obtain financial freedom, you have to invest. Like Alex says all the time, you're not going to become wealthy from your W-2 employee job. It's kind of just not feasible in order to get paid a salary and become wealthy, especially not at an early age for that matter. So it's why I want to keep on reemphasizing, choose your mentors wisely, because education is important, but your mentor who educates you is also important.
Yeah, definitely. And that all of that, it goes back to what your goals are, right? Because we're not sitting here trying to say you should or shouldn't be listening to Dave Ramsey or Robert Kiyosaki. It depends what your goal is. Like if your goal is to just be debt free, then Dave Ramsey is very well an applicable person that you should be, listening to or taking advice from. And conversely, if your goal is to be financially independent by the time you are 30, whatever age years old, then Robert Kiyosaki is a suitable mentor for you, or a suitable person to listen to. So it's just analyze your situation and kind of take it from there. But really, at the end of the day, like like I said, if you don't know how to do it, just know this, that paying down debt is a guaranteed return on your investment, right? Because if you have debt at 6, 7, 8% interest and you pay it off, you're guaranteed to now be making 6, 7, 8% interest, because money saved is money earned, right? Because you'd have to give it away anyway. So if you get to keep it, you're earning it. So understand that it's never nothing wrong with paying down debt. That's never the wrong answer, right? Now, like I said earlier, Teddy Roosevelt, the best thing you can do is, the right thing. The next best thing you can do is the wrong thing, and the worst thing you can do is nothing. Don't let the debt sit there, and don't just not invest. So make sure you're taking some sort of action. Do something, right? Because, like I said, it's going to compound, and you're going to feel the effects of it no matter what you choose. So at least do something. So that's kind of how I would answer that question, because I've gotten asked that question a lot, really, from a lot of people about whether they should pay down or invest, and it's a worthy question to ask. I want to talk about a couple things that are in more so regards to lifestyle, right? But because I think these are kind of things that affect your life as a millennial. So I think it's worthy to talk about them. And the biggest thing I want to talk about is lifestyle inflation. Lifestyle inflation, just real quickly, is the fact that, as soon as you graduate from school and, start making money, now you want to go upgrade your life. Now you was living on, rice and beans. Now you want to eat steak and caviar. Or you was, living off of your first car, but now you want to go get the brand new whip. So, or you was living with roommates and now you want to go get the high rise downtown. I'm not saying nobody should do these things. My whole thing about it, I'm not opposed to people having nice things. I just don't want the nice things to have you. That's the thing. Because it's a difference between you owning the things and the things owning you. I want you to be able to own those things outright, right? I'm still driving the same car that I was driving since 16 years old.
Sir.
And I'm not saying that to flex, or I'm not saying that to brag or nothing. I'm just saying that's my mindset with it. I'm gonna drive that car for a couple more years because, number one, I want my new car to be paid for with passive income, and number two, this car is still driving good. I was just talking about yesterday. I was like, dang, this car been
treat you well, ain't it?
for the past damn near 10 years. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, I'm gonna hold off a little bit.
I love the mindset, man. Your example started reminding me of my cousin. He was eating McDonald's gladly, but as soon as that paycheck started coming in, he needs soul food only. McDonald's can't cut it no more. But no, honestly, think about it as opportunity cost. Because if you have a goal, if you have your goals written down in mind, these liabilities or these expenses that you're spending your money on, like this income creep that you're having, it wouldn't make sense, because what it's doing is delaying you from getting to your goals ultimately. Because if you keep on spending money on all of these luxuries just of life, you're delaying how fast you obtain your goal. So if your goal, I mean, speaking to people who are trying to retire early, especially if your goal is to retire early, you can't afford to keep buying brand new cars, getting bigger houses every year, or just spending money on trips and stuff like that all the time, because what you're doing is delaying yourself from getting to your ultimate goal. For people, even if you're trying to retire at like age 65, you probably not able to contribute as much to your 401k or to whatever investment vehicle you're trying to contribute to, because you're spending all your money on these other expenses. So it's just about being mindful of where your money is going and just evaluating those opportunity costs.
Facts. And I think it wouldn't do justice if we didn't real quick talk about house hacking, right? Because house hacking is, I think it ties into both these kind of little subtopics, because I mean, we're talking about investing as a millennial, and I'm talking about avoiding lifestyle inflation, right? And house hacking is a investment strategy and also a great way to avoid lifestyle inflation. It's actually lifestyle deflation while you still reap the benefits of lifestyle inflation. So it's a great strategy kind of for that, right? Because there's a great ROI to be had when you house hack. And why? The reason I think it is a great investment strategy is because it can significantly increase your net worth fast without you putting really any money towards it, besides a few startup costs, right? Real quick, if y'all don't know, house hacking is pretty much where you buy a primary residence, a duplex, triplex, fourplex, or a single family, and you live in one unit or one bedroom and you rent out the rest. Real quick, that's just what it is. If y'all haven't heard us talk about it 8 million times already. So let's say that you find a $200,000 duplex, right, that you're gonna buy with an FHA loan. So the down payment is 3.5%, which is $7,000. If y'all didn't know, y'all can also use the down payment assistance to pay your entire down payment. If y'all go to Bank of America, look on their website. They have a program where they will cover your entire down payment and up to $11,000 of your closing costs. You can literally get a house hack for no money. So the example I'm going to illustrate could literally be even better. But for the purposes of just keeping it simple, let's just say that your down payment is $7,000, right? And the closing cost is another $6,000. So you need $13,000 all in. That's what you need to buy this house. So let's say, the duplex, the mortgage on it after you buy it is $1,200, and you're going to put $100 towards savings or reserves for any expenditures or future expenses. And your income is going to be $1,500 from the other side. So you live on one side and you get $1,500 from the other side. Now, let's calculate what your return on that investment is actually going to be, right? Because the return on investment is more than just what your cash flow is and what you're making from cash flow, right? You have to first look at the rent savings, right? So let's say you were living in an apartment for $1,000 and now you're house hacking and living for free. Matter of fact, you're making technically $300, but now you get to save that $1,000. So if we add that cash flow plus rent savings, you get $1,200 because you get $1,500. Subtract the mortgage and the reserves, which was $1,300, so that gives you $200, and then you add the rent savings per month, which because now you're not living in an apartment, you save $1,000. So now your cash flow plus your rent savings is $1,200 a month. The loan, let's say the amortization schedule says that after 1 year, the loan we pay down $4,000, right? And let's say that it's going to appreciate 2% after 1 year. So that's another $4,000. So in 1 year, you are going to have a net worth gain of, let's take your $1,200 times 12, add that to your $4,000 from your loan pay down and your $4,000 from appreciation. You're going to have a net worth gain of $22,000 just in 1 year. So your ROI on the money you spent, which was $13,000, it's going to be $22,000 divided by $13,000 is 172% cash flow return on investment. That is your ROI. So you literally did that just because you moved somewhere else from where you were originally living. You were living in a $1,000 apartment. You moved to a duplex now. And now you just increase your net worth by $22,000. Literally just by the place you live. So That is a great investment strategy that I think every millennial should be taking advantage of. This is something you should be doing literally every year. Like, even if you don't want to be financially free, this is a great strategy you should be taking advantage of every year because it's going to give you disposable income. Now you move out and you rent out your side. Now you're cash flowing. You're going to have assets to pay for your liabilities. All right, assets over life. I can preach that till I'm purple in the face, but this is the number one way that you can build wealth in your 20s. Seriously, there's nothing better than this. I promise.
That entire example Alex just gave, I don't want anybody to feel like it was too complicated. I want y'all to just take away the big picture. You're basically allowing somebody else to pay down your largest monthly expense, which is your housing expense. But the big takeaway is that instead of losing $12,000 over the course of 1 year in rent money, you're actually gaining an overall net worth gain of $22,400. And that's a difference of $3,400 if you add in that $12,000 that you would have lost by renting. And that's a difference that you can get just from house hacking versus paying somebody else in rent money that you never see again. That rent doesn't create anything for you. Like, it doesn't build equity. It doesn't allow for appreciation. Nothing happens from you spending your money on rent. There's no benefit towards you, at least. There's a great benefit for the landlord, not for you.
But yeah, we didn't want to get too much into that. I think I do want, as we wrap this up, because I know it's getting a little longer than what we wanted it to be, but I do want to make sure we touch on everything that we wanted to. But I think that some other investment strategies that you should definitely be taking advantage of is, say this reluctantly, like, is your 401k contribution. So I'm not going to get too much into, my personal views on the 401k. I talked about that in episode 8. You can go listen to that. And if you want to hear more so what I think about 401k. But, in short, I will just say that if your goal is not to achieve early financial freedom, then this is a good investment for you, right? You should at least be contributing what they are matching, because usually that's, up to 6%. Usually they match up to 60%. And I think every millennial should be contributing to that. If you already, I talked about earlier, if you've evaluated your goals and you figured out what your goals are, and you know that, investing in your 401k is going to be helping you achieve your goals, then you should at least be contributing up to what they're matching, which is typically 6%, right? Because, well, just for example, if there's, let's say you had a $50,000 salary, right? Just to illustrate what I mean by 6% match, because I know a lot of people don't know actually what that means. But let's say you had a $50K salary, right? And you as an employee, you contribute 6% of your salary, because they're going to match up to 6%. So you contribute 6% of your salary, which is $3,000. And let's say the employer says they'll match 100%. So they're going to match your 3K with their 3K. So you'll have $6,000 after 1 year, right? Mm-hmm. So that's essentially what that means. Some employers might only go up to 50%. And so they would only put in $1,500 of your $3,000. So that would put you at $4,500. But they're still going to match, something. So you should always be contributing up to that match. So if it's 6%, match or contribute to that. If it's 8%, contribute to that. I don't personally do it because, that's my goal is not to kind of live that kind of lifestyle, which I'm not going to get too much into, but this is what you should be doing if your goal is to someday retire, right? That's what you should be doing, which I would hope for everyone, your goal is to retire someday and you don't want to work until you're dead. But, that's kind of what you should be doing. The real quick too, the contribution limit for 2019 is $19,000. So that's the most you could actually contribute to your 401k. So that's one thing you should be doing. Another thing that I think would be very advantageous is to get a Roth IRA and max that out. Roth IRA is essentially an individual retirement account where your contributions are made with after-tax dollars instead of pre-tax dollars. So any contributions you make, you can withdraw without tax penalty because you already paid taxes on it up front, right? So the regular IRA or 401k, what happens is you pay taxes when you withdraw money because the contributions were made with pre-tax dollars. So when you withdraw, then you have to pay taxes on it, obviously, right? I always hear a lot. I always see the question posed of which one should I be investing in, 401k IRA or Roth IRA? or a traditional retirement account, or a Roth retirement account. And I think really, to me, in my opinion, the Roth is better. Um, but I think it mainly depends on what your age is, right? For someone that's younger, a Roth is definitely better for you because your tax bracket is going to most likely rise by the time you reach age 59 and a half, which is when you can actually withdraw it without 10% penalty. So if your tax bracket is going to be higher in the future, when you withdraw, you're going to pay more taxes than had you just paid the taxes up front. So a Roth typically is better for that reason. A lot of people kind of like try to, say the fact that, taxes do generally rise with history. So it's always better to do a Roth. But you never know. It's just something that you have to kind of look at in your situation. I would recommend the Roth for most people. If you want to do that, just know that the IRS only allows you to contribute up to $6,000 a year to a Roth IRA because it is such a. I think it's a great investment tool because the contributions are with post-tax dollars, and the IRS knows that, so they put a $6,000 limit on it. So that's don't think you're gonna get one up on them, but it's still good for that reason alone. Because I mean, if you just if you take someone that's like 22 years old, right, and they're putting $500 a month away in a Roth account at 6%, by the time they're 65 years old, that Roth account is going to have 1.5 million. So that's a good investment vehicle for someone that wants to retire at age 65. Now, there's a caveat to that. $1.5 million of purchasing power in 40 years is not what purchasing power is today, right? Mm-hmm. So 1.5 million in 40 years is not what 1.5 million is in 2019, right? Because let's just assume that there's 3% inflation, right? 1.5 million is only going to have $500,000 worth of purchasing power in 40 years in 2059 or 2060. So in order to have that same amount of purchasing power, you would need that account to grow to $5 million to have $1.5 million of purchasing power, which, if you do the back calculations, would require a $25,000 yearly contribution. That's just your contribution, not even your earnings. $25,000 yearly contribution when the IRS limit is $6,000, exactly. Right? So that's like one reason I don't really like the traditional retirement methods, because I'm big on control. If y'all know me, y'all know I'm big on controlling all my investments and my whole life. So I see how Marlon's looking, but that's just how I am. So with a traditional retirement method, I don't have any control over that inflation. So for me to invest like that is not practical for me. And that's one reason of many that I don't invest in my 401k or my or any Roth accounts right now, at least. And I don't foresee it really changing. I'm going to look into the Roth next year, but as far as like a 401k, probably not going to happen. But I think one, last thing to mention real quick about that is that the tax-free withdrawals, like, because I said the Roth is you don't pay taxes on your withdrawals. It's only on the amount you contributed. It's not on the earnings. So you still will pay taxes on your earnings, right? So really, any earnings you withdraw are going to be penalized really twice, because if you take it out before you're 59 and a half, you're going to pay the 10% on it, and you're going to pay the taxes on the earnings. So you can really only take out your contributions, which at that point it might just be like, okay, well, I might as well put this in a CD. So, but you at least get to take advantage of the compounding interest. So it's really like you have to look at your situation. I just want to give you all the information to make a good choice, I guess. So that's one thing I think was important to mention.
I can't emphasize enough how important education is in all of this, because even Roth IRAs and 401ks are both investment strategies, just like investing in real estate, stocks, bonds, whatever it may be. And some stuff like Alex just mentioned with getting a tax penalty on the gains that you make in your Roth IRA account, I didn't even know about that. And that's something how'd you learn about that? I'm just curious.
Right, me. I'm always researching stuff.
Exactly. Now, were you told that at your job about the tax penalty on the gains? Like, the person who originally told you about the Roth IRA, which is probably your job, did they tell you something about that?
Well, it was myself, but they didn't tell me nothing about it.
My point exactly is that you are researching this in order to understand where your money is going and how it's going to basically benefit you once you try to extract it, or once you are trying to utilize it. What money are you going to be? What money are you going to have available to you once you're trying to extract your money? And that all comes with education, because honestly, people are not going to tell you this stuff. I guarantee you there's people that are contributing to their Roth IRA and their 401k, or one or the other, and they don't know what Alex just told them about the tax penalties on the gains that they try to extract early. And that comes with the education piece. And that's why we preach education so much, because there's a lot of loopholes. I'm not gonna say really loopholes, but there's a lot of things that you wouldn't know. And ignorance is not bliss in this case. Like, they're not gonna tell you this stuff and just like as a forewarning. They're gonna just do it regardless.
It's something that you have to really take serious. Bro, that's why I say, bro, this just for, you don't just hop into this stuff, bro. We talking money, bro. I don't know about y'all, but I'm very particular about where my money goes. So I need to know exactly what's going on. If I'm putting my money in an account, I need to know exactly all the rules associated, all the risk associated. So education before compensation. So, and real quick, as we wrap this up, I think I do want to give a financial freedom perspective real quick, just on kind of some other investment strategies that you could be taking advantage of if you want to achieve financial freedom. Because look, I say it all the time. I've probably said it 3 times this episode. If you want to achieve what others won't achieve, you can't be doing things that other people are doing right now, right? I can't be investing how others are investing if I want to be financially free. So I can't be contributing to a 401k if I want to be financially free by age 28. That ain't gonna help me. 10% penalty, but before age 59 and a half is not going to help me achieve financial freedom by 28. So I have to know I need to take more risk. And that's what you have to do if you want to achieve financial freedom. You have to take more risks. So I think generally speaking, you should be investing where you have control, because the more control you have, the higher potential for reward. And that's what early financial freedom is. It's taking calculated risks for higher rewards, right? So you should be doing things like starting a business. And that can be in anything. Investment business, investing is a type of business, right? Or you could start a clothing business, or any type of business that you see fit. If you have an idea, try it. Just try it. You never know what's gonna happen. If you have the average person gets 4 ideas a year, any one of which would make you financially free if you had the courage to take advantage of them. Seriously. So, or you could even be investing in a friend's business for equity. That's something you could be doing. I know that's one investment strategy I'm taking advantage of. It's not for equity, but it's another form of passive income. I'm investing in a few thousand in a friend's business next year. So that's something that I'm gonna be excited to do. So these are kind of things you should be thinking of. And trying to take advantage of, especially while you're young.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, just a bit like a takeaway from this whole thing, even if you invest and you lose all your money, like, and pretty much you fall flat on your face, and like, I don't know, like say you were investing at age 20, 25 or whatever, you fall flat on your face, flat broke. Guess what? The worst thing is go get a job and continue on moving forward. Like, bro, by age 30, you're not even gonna remember that age 25 when you fell flat on your face. Just start over, man. Like, this is the time to take the risk, because you don't have all the obligations. I mean, not for everybody, they may have more obligations than others, but I guess for especially like people like me and Alex, where we don't really have like families that we already started building and everything, this is the best time to try to like take advantage of every opportunity to build businesses, to invest, to do whatever it may, like to try to propel yourself forward, because you're not gonna get this time back. We can start over from like $0 and still build our way back up to early financial freedom and still be on good pace to get there by the goals that we set for ourselves, 28, 32, whatever it may be, because we know, for one, we have the education part in order to know how to get there, and we have the ambition and the drive to go execute what we set out to do. And that's why I just say take action anyway, because I mean, you never know what may happen at the end of the day. So big takeaway, it's riskier not to invest than it is to, it's riskier to not invest than it is to just stay stagnant and do nothing. And that's just really what I want to close up with. So I don't know if you got anything else, bro.
That's it for this episode of the Money Monopolizers podcast. New episodes will be released every Thursday and will be available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. Just search Money Monopolizers wherever you listen to podcasts. We hope you learned something of value today. If you did, we'd appreciate it if you rated us and left us a review on Apple Podcasts. You can also find out more info about us on Twitter at the Monopolizers or on Instagram at Money Monopolizers. We post informative content on there that'll keep you engaged. So check that out and share those posts. But until then, we out of here.
You've been listening to the Money Monopolizers podcast, helping you take control of your financial destiny. To learn more about how you can be in control of your money, visit moneymonopolizers.com. We'll catch you next time when Alex and Marlon share more personal finance and wealth creation tips with you. Now it's time to take action.